20.
Now let's talk some rookie talk. We had some some pro days.
Going to be.
we had some pro days happen. First we had Alabama where Mac Jones threw a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really get to see the tape that much. People were saying he looked a little more athletic than other people would have you believe. Look, Mac Jones' athleticism isn't really what I'm buying Mac Jones for. On the other hand, though, the bigger news, Devonta Smith was coming in at 170 pounds. And I wish I had my phone on me right now to give credit. But someone did a study, and there is a debate about one other receiver. But since 1999, receivers to have over 1,000 yards that weighed 170 pounds or less is only one player, Deshaun Jackson. There is debate about Chad Ochocinco and Chad Ochocinco's weight. He claims that he played at 170 in college. Google will tell you he's in the 180s. Regardless, that makes it two total players. So I've been known to be the Devonta Smith hater on this podcast. Does that worry you guys at all about the weight only coming in at 170?
No. And sorry, Jake, I'm taking this real quick. Mainly because you look at it was the same conversation for linebackers not too long ago. I remember I'm a South Carolina alum, even though I got the Rutgers sweatshirt on. I think his name was Sky Moore, one of those tweener safety linebacker kind of guys. I thought he was pretty good and deserved a shot in the league. He ended up going undrafted. Guys like him, those safety linebacker hybrids, used to just be that, oh, well, you're just kind of shit out of luck. You're too small for this position, too big for this position. Well, now that's almost the prototypical linebacker, is this 225-pound, more pass coverage first linebacker, which is almost 20 pounds off of what the standard of linebacker used to be. Every position on defense is getting smaller. Well, it's only natural for the positions on offense to get smaller and faster as well, like they've been doing. So I just personally believe that the issue's a little... What's up?
I have a study for you, though, Frank. Believe it or not. Okay, hold on. Let me give credit.
Tinder girl JT needs to take a timeout.
No.
Because
I've got that. I want to give credit. It's at ZWK Football. He tweeted out. So it's contrary to what Frank actually was saying. Incoming wide receiver BMI has actually increased from 1989 to now. It was about 25.2 in 1989, and now it's 26.8. So players are actually, bigger at their size than they were, 20-something odd years ago, almost 30 years ago. Actually, over 30
years ago. But BMI also gives you, it favors if you're compact, right? Like, I don't know BMIs of all the players, but I can imagine that Rondelle Moore passes the BMI test with flying colors because the dude's built like a brick house, right? The thing is that I value what I see on the tape more. Devonta Smith, I've seen lanky-ass corners have success, right? And I've seen the same things being said poorly against them. Oh, well, they're going to get bullied by these bigger receivers. Well, guess what? If you're good at football, you're good at football, and you're going to be good enough to play around this. I don't really see the knocks against, the only thing I guess you could really say is that maybe he's a little frail and he'll get injured. I haven't seen that. To the people that say he's not going to be able to beat press, well, just look at the tape. I can show you a clip of him putting people to the floor with his releases. Literally, to the floor. SEC-level corners. I don't buy into it. I can understand the concerns. I just don't really care, to be honest.
I just think, we've hit it over the head 1,000 times, so I'll make it real quick. When we're talking alpha wide receivers, and that's who you want to draft in your first round pick, that's who you want to get. You want to get the guy who will end up being the wide receiver one. With someone that size, we just don't see them becoming the alpha wide receiver. Do I think Devonta Smith could have NFL success? Yes. I think that Devonta Smith could be good. But there is an issue with outliers, and you're betting on an outlier in Devonta Smith. And then there's also the issue of there are other wide receivers around that range that are also really good, like Jamar Chase. I know Frank's not big on him, but Rashad Bateman, Jalen Waddle, and those guys kind of fit the mold that you really want to see when we're talking analytics. So why am I going to spend pick 106 in a Superflex league on Devonta Smith when I could spend pick 110 on Rashad Bateman, Jalen Waddle, whoever falls to me? That's just what my debate is.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that I can point out outlier stats for any of these guys. Like I understand it's not going to be as pretty as looking at someone's weight, but I can probably go ahead and look at the production level of Jalen Waddle and be like, oh, well, only X amount of players with his total production in the SEC conference have panned out, right? Like, I don't know necessarily. It's just, the thing is, I think the argument has gotten a little misconstrued. Like, yeah, he's kind of frail, but he's still an alpha receiver. Like, Stephon Diggs is an alpha receiver, right? Stephon Diggs is not going out there and destroying people physically. He's not going out there and decking linebackers left and right. The guy is really quick with a good release, got good feet, and good 50-50 balls. Like, that's exactly what Devonta Smith is. So, I mean, I can see why people are scared. I'm not going to pass up on him. Like, I can see why people are scared in terms of, okay, I'd rather have Jamar Chase. But I can't all of a sudden say, oh, well, Devonta Smith isn't one of the best receiver prospects I've ever seen. Like, I'm not just going to take all this body of work, all this beautiful game tape that I see, and just be like, oh, well, he's 10 pounds too light. Sorry, champ. Can't do it.
All right, real quick, Frank, and we can move on to Rondelle Moore. Where would you have ranked Devonta Smith in your wide receiver rankings last year? Like, say he came out last year. Where would he have been?
Number one.
He would have been number one?
Number one.
Over...
Not at the time. As of right now, yes. Last year, when I had him graded, he was around 5 or 6 for me. I think he was, like, slotted in right behind Brandon Ayuk, and I think in front of Rager and Justin Jefferson, somewhere around there. Maybe Justin Jefferson. I can't remember.
All right, but regardless,
because he went back pretty quickly.
You had him around 5 or 6. It's just, I get that he improved this year, but he was also a senior this year, and with that, it's very hard for me to bump him up. I also get that this wide receiver class, is very good. It probably won't have as many people pan out as last year's did. But to have him moved up from wide receiver 6, wide receiver 5, maybe to wide receiver 2, I can't do it, because really we're bumping him up a lot because of his senior year production, and that's not something
I had him as my wide receiver 2 coming into the season.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I had Jamar. My top 3 receivers has not changed since the beginning of the season. It was Jamar Chase 1, Devonta Smith 2, Rondelle Moore 3. Now I've just put Devonta Smith at 1 because I really like what I saw. I can see why, and I still, as the process goes on, like, if I like the fit of Jamar Chase, might have him at 1. Like, I'm not anti-Jamar Chase or anything. It's just, I don't understand the hate with Devonta Smith. Like, if he was 5 pounds heavier, he goes from, or 7.5 pounds, let's say. That is the difference that makes him go from
at his height,
a great prospect to a shit prospect.
15. At his height, it'd have to be like 15 plus for him to, because he's 6'1". So you probably want him around 185 plus for BMI purposes. But
I don't know. I just don't. I don't really care. Like, I don't think you need the weight in the modern game. I don't really care what the trends with the BMI is, what the trends with this, that, and the other is. I think that good receivers are good receivers. Good football players are good football players. Yeah, I don't want him to go to a system where we're not running RPOs and we're asking our receivers to block a crap ton. Yeah, then I'd rather have Jamar Chase. But aside from that, I really like Devonta Smith.
All right, well,
clearly.
On the other side of the coin is we've got the very compact, kind of bowling ball-esque Rondelle Moore, who was like 5'7", 181 pounds. He did run, I forget what he ran for, it was like 4.3, I think was his 40-yard dash. He had like a 42.5 inch vertical. He didn't bench press, but he tweeted out a video of him putting it up like 24 times or something like that. Just a an athlete, like the definition of an athlete. But he's 5'7", which personally, I'm less upset about that. I'm less upset about that than Devonta Smith's weight. I'm just more concerned what NFL teams are going to think, because I saw some NFL scouts put on Twitter that like maybe that'll put him into like an Eckler or Sproles role, and I don't think that's what Rondelle Moore should be. Rondelle Moore is a good wide receiver. Rondelle Moore is someone that's going to be very good coming out of the slot. I like Rondelle Moore more than Devonta Smith, to be honest with you. What's important about Rondelle Moore is that he plays a lot bigger than he is, and he's a very physical wide receiver. So being only 5'7" doesn't really hurt me like I feel like a lot of people on Twitter are kind of reacting to. They think that really hurts Rondelle Moore's stock. I don't think it really changes it. I mean, does it change it for you guys?
Not at all.
Jake's looking like it does.
Jake, are you going on to the side of the Tinder girls here?
Listen, like obviously, like a lot of corners aren't 6'5" or anything like that, but like it's still tough when you're that small in the NFL. Like in college, you can let his elite athleticism like take over, and I don't know. I think it's going to be tougher to get him the ball. I mean, he's not going to be. You just don't create as much separation as you do in college. It's just because corners are better. The NFL defenses as a whole are better. They're going to have to. Teams are going to have to be creative to get him the ball to showcase this elite athleticism that he does have. But it definitely doesn't help. If he was 5'9", listen, like I think a lot of teams. I think he would go in potentially the first round of the NFL draft, and he still might. But I just think this makes it a whole lot difficult.
Even if he goes in the third round, I still really like Rondelle Moore. I just think, to your point about having him beat NFL corners, like I just don't think he'll be a jump ball guy, which, I mean, he did have a 42.5-inch vertical, but like his game really was never being a jump ball guy. Like that's not how he won against college.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he used his athleticism in college to get, fantastic separation. It's just you're not going to get that separation. You're playing against a better defense. You're playing against a better D-back. If that separation isn't the same, you have to have better, physical tools here to help you make better plays. And yes, he has the athleticism, he has the speed, he has the jump, he has the hands. But, being a big physical wide receiver definitely has its advantages. I mean, look at DK Metcalf. Like, is he as, like, he's a physical freak in his own sense. So, like, it's a completely different game here. I'm not comparing them as the same type of wide receiver here, but, like, DK Metcalf can do a lot of things that Rondelle Moore will never be able to do at this level. And I think it kind of leaves...
Rondelle Moore can also do things that DK can't do, too.
Yeah. That's my thing. Like, I just don't think... when you're saying he has to be like athletic and be physically gifted, he is just in a different skill set than DK Metcalf. So while my thing is he will need to be on a team where he's not going to be the wide receiver one, like the alpha guy, but I still do think like where you're getting him, like right now he's getting drafted at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. Like you're getting a very solid, I imagine, wide receiver 2 production out of him year in and year out. Just because I think he's got such a great tool set, and he can beat. I truly believe he can beat NFL corners easily. I think I'll go out there and say easily, just because he's so athletically gifted. He's such a talent and freak of nature kind of athlete. I don't know, Frank, if you want to add in on that at all.
No, I like. Everyone wants to compare Jalen Waddle to Tyreek Hill and players like Jalen Waddle. I don't understand why that's not actually being comped to Rondelle Moore, because the thing about Tyreek Hill is that he plays with that physicality, that nice center of gravity, that really nice balance. He's developed a really good release, and even though Tyreek Hill's not a great route runner, it's tough to get him off his spot. It's tough to reroute him. Well, Rondelle Moore is that. Rondelle Moore is a guy that has a good release off the line of scrimmage. He's really fast. I think he has better footwork and better routes than Tyreek Hill did. Way better coming out. I mean, Tyreek Hill's a freaking running back. So like, I really like Rondelle Moore. I have him.
It's funny you said it's funny you said Tyreek Hill because that's actually who I had him. That's who I had Rondelle Moore comp to as like a less I guess less fast because Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest players we've ever seen in the NFL. So like I had him comp to Tyreek Hill, but even Tyreek Hill is 5'10". So like it gives him I would be interested to see the difference in I guess wingspan and catch radius and things of that nature that would ease my concerns of the height.
Yeah, I'm not expecting Rondelle Moore to come in here and be a top 5 receiver in the game off rip, right? But I think that if we're taking players that have the potential of being true number 1 alpha receivers, I think Rondelle Moore is one of the better prospects in that. I know that's going to come off as a hot take because you're going to have like the JTs that are jerking Rashad Bateman until the cows come home because he fits.
Like Rashad Bateman.
He checks every physical box. All the Tinder chicks and the data analytics folks are getting their panties in a bunch over these guys. But simply put, I look at the tape and I see a better receiver in Rondelle Moore than I do compared to Rashad Bateman, than I do compared to Terrace Marshall, and by a good margin. So I'd much rather have Rondelle Moore. I don't care about the height.
Where do you have him ranked right now?
Who?
Moore. What number of receiver do you have?
Trace.
All right. It's higher than I have him, but I mean, I'm not far behind. I think I had him closer to 5 and 6, but still.
I think he's my 4 or 5. But with that, like I'd still draft him high second round, late first round easily. If he's on the board and I'm picking right around there, I'm taking Rondelle Moore, unless the receivers I have higher than obviously are still on the board. I take them. But real quick, and then we'll move on. A lot of what goes with Rondelle Moore is his crazy freshman season, right? He had over 100 receptions and 1,000 yards and over 10 touchdowns his freshman season. And you just got to think, like, that's an 18-year-old playing against 21-year-old players. Like he already is behind the 8 ball at that point, and he definitely wasn't 180 pounds when he was coming in. He still was 5'7". So if he's able to do that against college corners at that time, like I'm just not that worried about him doing it against NFL players because he was already doing it when he was at a big disadvantage prior. Moving on.
If he was playing for Alabama, he would be super hyped. Not that he's not already hyped, but that Purdue offense sucked.
If any of those, if you put Terrace Marshall on Alabama, if you put Diami Brown on Alabama, like these guys.
Oh my God, Diami Brown is so good.
These guys would be so much more hyped up. It's just that the Alabama name brand, you're going to compare, you're going to be like, oh, they had Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy on the same team. That's why Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle are going to be really good. And they could be, but it's just, you got to give the other guys their fair shake, too. Rashad Bateman is a very good wide receiver. He outplayed Tyler Johnson when he was young. And so Terrace Marshall, he didn't outplay Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but he was competing with them. Like, he was on the field with those guys. So, I don't know. It's tough for me when you go and compare with college teams, I'm sorry.